Hello everybody. Hello. Welcome to my channel again. Today I'm going to tell you the story about when my son got lost. So in Nigeria there are a lot of things that we did that it's just normal for us. Like, let's say if I was tired, I could just tell my kids to go downstairs to my neighbor's place or to go downstairs and play, and I won't be part of the play. All right, so you just send the children. I have a friend, Angelica. I just tell my daughter, okay, take your siblings, go to Auntie Angelica's place and go and play, and I'll rest. But in America, it wasn't that way. It wasn't that way at all. It wasn't that way. Here is everywhere you're going, it's like you are tying the children to your apron. If they have to play downstairs, you have to follow them. You gotta stay with them downstairs, right? So, it's tough to take care of one person, not to talk of, one kid, not to talk of four. So you have to keep an eye on four. If you take them out, you're counting them all the time. You're looking around, you're making sure everybody is, there. Because if your child is found unattended, how in Niger, maybe we're in the church or we're in the market and they will find a little kid. They'll just go around, hey, whose child is this? Whose child is this? They'll keep asking until they find the mom. But here, if somebody finds your child, though, they are calling the cops. They don't have time to start looking for whose child is this, whose child is this. So something actually happened. So that time I was still doing my prerequisite. My brother's children, they had twins. So my brothers, they did the christening, naming of their children. Or baptism of their children. So we attended. So we were there having fun, us, them, and maybe a few more other people. So all of a sudden my sister-in-law said, hey, I know you're tired, school and all that. You can leave the kids here and go home and go and rest. So I was like, so great. I said, you mean it? She said, yes. That says, since they are playing, the other kids, they are playing, my kids can as well stay there. And probably later in the day, after I was done resting, I could now come back and pick them. Maybe give them like an hour or two or thereabout. Or just come later and pick them. I was so happy. That was first time that somebody was relieving me of babysitting my kids, actually. So it was really a welcome, gesture for me. Guess what? I went home, took a shower, arranged myself, wore my nightgown, laid down to begin sleeping. Next thing, my phone rang. My cousin, who was also there, just said, hey, Chi, are you with Tony there? I was like, no, Tony is there with you guys. I thought my sister-in-law said that I should leave the kids, I can go home and go and rest and come back later. He said, okay, never mind. He dropped the phone, he called again. Chi, are you sure you don't have Tony with you there? I said, no. He was like, no, you're lying. When that you're lying came in, I knew that something was wrong. So I said, please, what happened to Tony? I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't think I even changed my clothes. Like, I would say that hot peace come hold me like this. So I was like, what are they talking about? I just entered my car. I don't remember if I changed my clothes or not, but I ran like a mad woman, entered car, started going there to go and find out what they said happened to my son. When I now got there, I was like, what's wrong? So I now saw cops. Or we're just staying there, the cops now came in. When I got there, I was like, hey, you need to call the cops. I could not understand how come my son was not there anymore, because I know my sister-in-law just, gave me the permission to go home. So I said, hey, you guys have looked for him, you haven't found him. Even my husband was actually working in a building next to my brother's house. He had a job there. So they had to call him. Then we called the cops, and the cops said, you're so lucky. There's a boy that we have right here, and we're just about to go sign him into a foster home. I was like, hey? I said, please. He was like, please, release him, I beg. He's my son. Please bring him. So the cops came. See my son, lost boy. They had given him popsicle or candy. He had a teddy bear, feeling good inside the cop's car. No atom of fear or crying or anything. So when I saw him, I ran and held him. I was like, wow, you just see where a child, was feeling like a movie star or a mega star for being inside the cop's car, Hey, now wow. All of a sudden, interrogation. I thought it was just hand me over my child and go. For where? It was not hand me over my child though. Do you know that these people heaped all the blame of my lost child on me? I was there saying, hey, my sister-in-law, that part of what I was saying, they were not hearing it. It was entering one ear and leaving the other. The way they turned that whole thing on me. What time did you leave? What did, the kind of question. I was like, hey, I wasn't looking at the clock when I left, but I can guess when I left by looking at the phone. But it became obvious to me that they were not going to bring my sister-in-law into the episode. My sister-in-law is Caucasian, okay? Wow. That was my first public racism. Whether we like it or not, that's how I saw it. But maybe it made the matter easier. But then it put me in trouble, sort of. It put me in trouble in the sense that they had to assign a caseworker to me. It was now addressed as a case of negligence. And the caseworker had to come to my house, come to assess what is going on in my house. If it was abusive, if we were abusing our kids, if we had enough food in the fridge, like that time they want to see bread, milk, cheese, stuff. They want to see things, and as God will have it, they saw everything, eggs, milk, to make sure that you're giving your children good nutrition or something. So they came there and the lady was, hey, I know these things happen. I'm looking at you, you have 4 children and your apartment is this clean. Wow, even me that is coming here as your caseworker, my house is not as clean as this, and I have, is it 1 or 2 children, she said. So when she found out that I was going to school and my husband was also going to school, she was so impressed. And she offered us a lot of resources, a lot. a lot of, she was like, do you need anything? Just ask me. I like meeting people who are hardworking, people who are, you know, making effort to do the right things. So there were some things she actually offered us that I wish we took advantage of. But we didn't, because we knew that if I wanted to go to pharmacy school, we're not going to stay in that. There's a possibility that we're going to move out of that town. So one of them was a government incentive where they help low-income people. They match up your savings. Like every month you deposit a certain amount of money with them. You keep, you know, putting your money with them. And after a certain number of years that you desire, they will double, you know, match that amount you put in there for you to use as a down payment for a house. I wish we were so clueless. So we're like, we didn't need it, so we didn't take it. So she also gave me like a list of daycares, you know, a bunch of things, where to find any resources, anything you need. It was like a lot. So I had to share that experience because it's different. It's part of our story. And in Nigeria, even if the cops found your kid, they'll just hand over your child and probably admonish you, warn you, don't neglect this child, or maybe, you know, but this one, they had to put they now told me, this is the part that is actually that, they said my name was going to be in the system and for 7 years. Like after 7 years, if there's no repeat of that situation, it will drop off. It will drop off, you know, it won't be attached to my name. So from that day, we called my son and we were asking him what actually happened. So the story was that, you know, he was sleeping at the point when I left. He was sleeping. So when I left, the rest of the family, the rest of the visitors that came in for that, you know, the reception after the baptism, went to the backyard to play. So they left him in this living room sleeping. So he woke up and looked around and didn't see anybody. He didn't see anybody. So he didn't understand how come we left him and went home. And then he now stepped outside to, you know, to where we parked our car, and he was gone. I'm the one that drove the car home. So when he didn't see the car, he just thought that all of us had gone home. So he started, my son was about 4 years, between 4 and 6. I don't think it was up to 6 because he didn't start elementary school there. He actually started elementary school in Ohio. So he was like, you know, how do I explain it? So he started trying to trek home. So he walked, and then he came to a point, he just sat down in the middle of the road and started crying. So a passerby saw him and called the cops. Yeah, so in my mind I was like, couldn't they have like knocked at the homes and asked, are you looking for your son? That's how we will do in Niger now. But we forgot that we are not at home. So that is the end of that story, okay? Yeah, so it's one remarkable story that I'll never forget.